Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Oldham County Fiscal Court. I'm David Vogel, Judge Executive. Nice to have you here today for our meeting, our first meeting in October. Today is the 6th, and if you have a cell phone with you, please turn it to off or vibrate. I'll ask our clerk, Denise Clark, to please call the roll. Pardon me? Do we want to do the pledge first? Okay, good idea. All right, let's do that. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, now Denise, can please call the roll.
Magistrate Likens.
Here.
Magistrate Tice.
Here.
Magistrate Greenwell.
Here.
Magistrate Hounds.
Here.
Magistrate Hawkins.
Here.
Magistrate Dye.
Here.
Magistrate Logston.
Here.
Judge Vogel.
Here. Having 7 of the, or 8 of the 9 members of the fiscal court present, this meeting is now in session. Is there a motion to accept the agenda?
Second.
Are there any corrections or additions? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Now I'll ask Denise to please read the minutes from our last meeting, which was September 15th.
The Oldham County Fiscal Court convened at a regular meeting at 2 p.m. with Judge Executive David Vogel, County Attorney John Carter, and the following magistrates in attendance: Brent Likens, Wayne Tice, Albert Harrison, Steve Greenwell, Chris Hounds, Stephanie Hawkins, Bob Dye, and Michael Logston. Motion made by Magistrate Dye and seconded by Magistrate Greenwell to approve the agenda as submitted with the addition of Building Maintenance and Construction Committee report. Motion carried unanimously. The meeting minutes from September 1st, 2020 were read and approved unanimously with the following changes. Add medical community to the public comment section. Add the tax rates to the SBGE presentations. Riverside parking revised to Riverside paving on Group 3 LaGrange paving bid. Public comment, none. Judge Vogel announced the broadband strategy and explained the online survey would be available for everyone to complete beginning September 14th, 2020. David Bazanis, Executive Director, and Jim Tutt, Chairman of the Board, presented information and responded to questions from the court relating to the Oldham LaGrange Development Authority Board fiscal year 2021 budget. President David Bazanis presented information and responded to questions from the court relating to the Oldham Chamber and Economic Development Board fiscal year 2021 budget. President David Dybel presented information and responded to questions from the court relating to the Oldham County Extension District Board fiscal year 2021 budget and ad valorem tax rate. The 2020 tax rates are as follows and reflect the compensating rate where appropriate. Real property, 1.36 cents per 100. Personal property, 1.46 cents per 100. Inventory, 1.46 cents per 100. Motor vehicle and watercraft, 1.5 cents per 100. The following sealed bids were opened and read aloud for the Old Floydsburg Road project. Flynn Brothers Contracting, Louisville, Kentucky, $1,004,612. Louisville Paving Company, Louisville, Kentucky, $780,000. Mack Construction, New Albany, Indiana, $812,770. Todd Johnson Contracting, Danville, Kentucky, $960,838.11. The following sealed bids were opened and read aloud for the Briar Hill Park Playground. DWA Recreation, Harrison, Ohio. Option number 1, $49,999.99. Miracle Recreation Equipment Company, Litchfield, Kentucky. Option number 1, $45,000. Option number 2, $50,000. Play Pros, Kokomo, Indiana, and Waddy, Kentucky. $46,417.40. Playtopia, Inc., Ferguson, Kentucky. $48,337.75. Recreation Insights, Louisville, Kentucky. Option number 1, $46,072. Option number 2, $49,782. Motion made by Magistrate Logston and seconded by Magistrate Harrison to award the bid for the dump truck to Yule Truck Sales in the amount of $135,393.04 and to authorize the Judge Executive to sign all contract documents with Yule Truck Sales as submitted. Motion carried 6-3. Magistrates Greenwell, Tice, and Dye voted no. Claudia Peralta Mudd, partner specialist with the U.S. Census Bureau, provided an update on the U.S. Census in Oldham County. Motion made by Magistrate Hounds and seconded by Magistrate Greenwell to authorize the payables as submitted. Motion carried unanimously. Community Business, 2020 County Tax Rate. Stan Clark, Chief Financial Officer of Oldham County Fiscal Court, presented the proposed county tax rate for 2020 of 8.7 cents per $100 assessed property value. Motion made by Magistrate Logston and seconded by Magistrate Hounds to authorize the Judge Executive to sign Resolution Number 01091520, adopting the tax rate for 2020 at 8.7 cents per $100 assessed property value as submitted. Motion carried unanimously. Public hearing, request to close Tingle Lane. Jim Silliman, County Engineer, presented for public hearing the request to close Tingle Lane as submitted. Magistrate Harrison recused himself. Robert Strong of 279 Wooded Hills Road, Pendleton, Kentucky, spoke in concern of the proposed changes. Mr. Strong stated he was not in opposition to closing the lane, but wanted to ensure he and his uncle Donald Strong and other family members could still gain access to the family cemetery once the road closes. John Baker, attorney from Wyatt Tarrant & Combs, 400 West Market Street, Louisville, Kentucky, representing the client Box and Bluff 2007 LLC and Lot 10C Trust, addressed Mr. Strong's concern and confirmed that access will be preserved and maintained to the cemetery. John Carter, County Attorney, maintained that access to the cemetery must be provided and no written documentation would be needed. Motion made by Magistrate Tice and seconded by Magistrate Greenwell to approve the closure of the remaining portion of Tingle Lane to public use, except that access to the cemetery on the property the road serves shall continue to be provided as it is now, and as requested, the gate be moved closer to State Highway 524. Motion carried unanimously. Motion made by Magistrate Hounds and seconded by Magistrate Dye to authorize the Judge Executive to sign the Evapar Maintenance Agreement. Motion carried unanimously. Magistrate Likens reported that the Building Maintenance and Construction Committee meeting decided to enter into negotiations with Architectural Investments concerning design-build plans for the Oldham County Animal Control Center. Motion made by Magistrate Likens and seconded by Magistrate Logston to approve to use Bravura for the John Black Center expansion for $89,000. Discussion followed. Magistrate Likens withdrew his motion, and Magistrate Logston removed his second. Personnel actions. Motion made by Magistrate Hawkins and seconded by Magistrate Hounds to accept the following new hires. Brad Catron as Maintenance Assistant 2 at $20 an hour, effective 9/16/2020 as submitted. Road Department, Jason Dunaway as Equipment Operator 1 at $13.50 an hour, effective 10/1/2020 as submitted. Police, Andrew Hamilton as Patrol Officer, effective 9/21/2020. Motion carried unanimously. Motion made by Magistrate Greenwell and seconded by Magistrate Dye to accept the resignation of Todd Lindner, effective 9/26/2020, as submitted. Motion carried unanimously. Board appointments. Motion made by Magistrate Likens and seconded by Magistrate Hounds to appoint Charles Turner to the Code Enforcement Board. Motion carried 8-0-1, with Magistrate Harrison abstaining. Motion made by Magistrate Likens and seconded by Magistrate Tice to appoint Frederick Burr to the Board of Adjustments. Motion carried unanimously. Public comment, none. Motion made by Magistrate Logston and seconded by Magistrate Hounds to adjourn the meeting. Motion carried unanimously. The meeting adjourned at 5:03 p.m.
You've heard the reading of our minutes from September 15th. Are there any corrections? Magistrate Greenwell.
Thank you, Judge. On the public hearing to request the closed Tingle Lane, the two gentlemen there, Robert Strong, that's misspelled, and it's Straugghn.
Anyone else? Seeing no one, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Those in the courtroom with us here today are going to notice that, or maybe won't notice, I'm not sure. I'm the only person left here, I believe, with a large 3-ring binder to manage this meeting. Everyone else has migrated to an iPad. And this is our first time out of the gate with the iPad, so magistrates have practiced a couple of times with these to become comfortable and be able to oversee our meeting based on what appears on their screen. But if we have anybody that struggles at a point, please let us know, and we'll stop and catch up. So I do appreciate Melissa and Kevin for conducting these training classes. And we've got a studious group of people here. I think John Carter he still has okay, he doesn't have a 3-ring binder, but got a pad of paper, had a lot of paper in his hand. Okay, well, your day's coming, and so is mine. So, we'll see what happens. Time now for public comment. That's the time during our meeting when anyone who happens to be here to address the fiscal court is able to do so. Does anyone come today who would like to bring something to our attention?
Afternoon, Judge, members of the court, Jerry Narth, the Director of Emergency Management for Oldham County. I have 2 items, please. First one is the long burn restriction period has expired September 30th. The one that goes from May to September 30th, and I'll now begin the one for October 1st to December 15th that is for forest fire season. Much easier to remember. 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., no burning within 150 feet of a woodland or brushland. That's it. Means at 6:01 p.m., I guess you can get within 150 feet, but I don't know the reasoning for it. But that's the only restriction we have. We'll have another one of those before, or in the spring, right before we go into our summer one. So I just wanted to make sure we get that out to the public,
All right.
in case you get a call.
All right.
We got one call that says, so you've extended the burn bill. Well, that's not necessarily true.
But with the current weather conditions, we may be looking at making some changes if we don't get some significant rainfall, you think,
That's always in the purview of the judge to issue protective measures for the county.
when you relay it to him and ask him? It just seems like, it's dry right now. It's very dry.
But we're up to Delta and the hurricanes, and maybe we'll get a little something.
Maybe.
Anything else on that?
Not on that, Jerry. Don't go too far away. We'll probably speak with you again about the railroad
That's why I brought
crossing.
my folder down to
Okay.
a little closer. I do have one other item, though. I would like to give kudos to our smart 911 system. Just the other day, we had another young lady, juvenile, if you will, underage, who walked away and was missing, and she had a medical condition where she needed medication. And by putting out the smart 911 notification, somebody heard it, saw it, however they got that on their phone or whatever, and spotted the young lady, and within an hour or so, we had her identified and back with her friends. And that's the second one within 2-3 weeks, if you will, had another young man, the same thing, although that's the one a little longer. That one about 8 to 10 hours of us searching, but nonetheless, it was still brought to an end by someone who had gotten the message and spotted the young man, after dark, by the way, spotted the young man and let us know, and then we put that one to rest too. So, if nothing more, it's very beneficial for those type of things. The sooner we can get that information out, the sooner we can have those happen again. So, I encourage those who aren't signed up for Smart 911. Those who aren't signed up to please do so, because it's a very useful tool.
Your mic is your mic, was it not on?
Isn't Jay right there?
I have to go through all that again?
No.
We heard you.
Take 2.
There it is.
All right.
What'd you say again?
Smart 911's a good thing. We have an extended burn period, restriction period. Anything else?
Well, we'll just repeat that in case it wasn't heard, that you're prohibited from burning wood or burning within 150 foot of a wooded section during the daylight hours.
Correct. From 6 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Right.
within 150 feet of woodland or brushland between now and December the 15th.
We're not sure why the thing shifts at dusk to, but maybe the wind goes down.
Yes, I don't know, maybe due or something of that nature, but the Forestry Division is the one who figures that out.
All right, thank you.
Okay, sir.
Judge, I can bring something to that. if something goes crazy, they can see it better after dark.
Well, that's true. Right. Anyone else like to address the fiscal court? Okay, come forward here. I see Teresa Gamsky from the Health Department's coming, and I know you,
Good afternoon. Could I use the overhead
yes,
sheet?
please do. And Teresa is on her last lap. This is her final month before retirement, and we want to thank you for everything you've done for the community.
Thank you, sir. Honored.
Hard over the last 10 or 12 years. I'm not sure how long you've been director there. How long has it been? Has it been
11.
11
with the
years,
health
okay.
department, total of 21 years in the community.
So we thank you for everything we've done. I know you've done your best for that period of time and have been called on to do a lot of different things. And
Yes,
you're
sir.
sort of going out with a pandemic here, but that's just bad timing on the pandemic's part. You know.
I'll try to contain my excitement, but I'm really honored and pleased to have served Oldham County for the past 21 years in two prominent capacities. So thank you to all those leaders who had confidence in me and gave me that opportunity. It's appreciated. It's been fun. What we're looking at is probably, we will be scheduling a press release sometime this week. The Board of Health has been at work. They had numerous candidates to select from and have made that decision, and we should be making that public announcement soon. So we're very excited. The qualified hands that Oldham County will resume public health services with. Today, I just wanted to update you. I see you have a full agenda on the number of cases. We are up to 1253. We will update this. As you know, our weekly update on Facebook is usually scheduled for Wednesdays, so we'll tweak it a little bit for tomorrow. As you can see, probable deaths as well as confirmed. Again, folks have questions often about the probable, and those are cases that are have an epilink or connected to a confirmed case, and they have become ill within that incubation period. Most often, those are family or household members. Of our deaths, just wanted to update you with some information. We did have an additional death last week, so we have a total of 26 deaths. 12 were from the long-term care setting, 8 were from the prison, and 6 were community cases. As you can see, we still have 3 persons currently still in the hospital there. Any questions just about the data before I? What's LTC? Long-term care, I'm sorry. I just wanted to kind of review these kind of definitions. As school has gone back into session, you know, we've been back, what, about 3 weeks? And it is, with schools being in session with kids, it's all about the distance. Of course, they're all wearing their mask and doing a great job, but for schools, it's all about the distance, which can be a challenge when you're faced with bus riders in some classroom configurations. So I just want to give you a brief update. An isolation period is when you have been confirmed with the disease, and you would be basically ordered to isolate in your home, away from other household members, where you're not sharing a restroom and not sharing kitchen. People in your home are wearing a mask throughout this time period. Quarantine is where people kind of use that interchangeably, but really what quarantine is when you've had an exposure. Quarantine is that, again, that incubation period. We suspect you've been exposed, and for that 14-day incubation period, we want you to monitor for any signs and symptoms. And what is kind of tricky on that is, like, if it's a child or a student, that student is going to be quarantined at home, but the rest of the family can go about their business. Now, at any point that child does develop symptoms, then we're going to say the people in close quarters are caring for that child 48 hours before the onset are the ones that possibly could additionally have another exposure. So you can see how this is difficult to control, especially in a home setting with the best of the isolation measures. But in the school setting, it is definitely all about the distance, and we're working very hard to tweak our policies and answer questions, resolve some policies on the buses, and the schools have been overly abundant, engaged, and cooperative, so we are confident we can do this. But it's very important to keep our social networks very closed and very small, especially with the priority of having our kids in school. Judge, that's all I have today.
All right, well, let me ask you, how is our contract tracing working? Does it work? Is it?
Absolutely, but contract tracing only works as well as the people on the other end that are cooperating. When they take our call, we are, again, assisting them to help to stop the spread of the virus within their home. And then secondly, we are learning how this virus behaves. So we have about 15 additional contact tracers that are on staff in the health department today as we speak. Many of them are Oldham County graduates or people who've been displaced by the virus due to employment. So they're working on our behalf, and they're not perfect. Some of them have no public health experience, but they have come in and give it a best effort. And again, our contact tracing works when people cooperate and choose to keep from spreading that virus further in their household. Yes, sir.
All right, I know you announced that we do have the board has selected a person to be your replacement, but apparently we haven't announced yet who that is.
No, sir, not till probably the end of the week. We're waiting for some final signatures from the state.
All right, well, I'll make sure I don't do that then, you know. But I think we do have an excellent person that's been
Yes, sir.
selected that'll help be a good replacement for you. Won't take your position entirely, but we'll pick up and
They'll
try
be
to
great.
carry forward.
They'll
So,
be great.
thank you for everything you've done, Teresa.
Thank you, sir.
Anyone else here to address public comment at this point? All right, seeing no one, I'll close the public comment, go on to the first item on our agenda. That's the opening for some police vehicles, 2021 Durango Pursuit vehicles. I believe we have two bidders on that. Melissa Horn has the bids. Let's see, how many vehicles were we bidding? Pardon? Seven, all right. 7 vehicles, Hunt Chrysler in Franklin, Kentucky, $217,441. I see, sir. Okay, apparently John Jones, police pursuit vehicles here from Salem, Indiana. I believe must be a bid. He's got 5 in stock and ready for delivery. Okay, I believe can't come up with 7 apparently. I think he's given us an individual per car bid of $30,300. So we'll turn these bids over back to our county treasurer, and we'll award these when? Next week or later? Hopefully today. Not today. Maybe today? Okay. The next item, we'll have the chief look those over. Next item for a bid award is from Belinda Demas. And Belinda's going to discuss the bid award to Louisville Paving for construction of Old Floydburg Road Safety Improvement Project.
That's right.
Amount of $750,000.
It was $780,000. At our last fiscal court meeting, we opened bids for construction. We received 4 bids, and the apparent low bidder was Louisville Paving Company at $780,000. We submitted the bids to KYTC for concurrence, and they approved Louisville Paving as the responsive and responsible low bidder. So today, we're asking fiscal court to allow Judge Vogel to sign the agreement with Louisville Paving Company.
Judge, I'd like to make that motion that you sign the agreement with Louisville Paving.
$780,000.
$780,000.
I left my glasses in the other room here. Okay, is there any discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is the Briar Hill Park Playground Equipment bid award. And we have that here, and believe that Magistrate Hawkins would like to discuss that.
Judge, I'd like to make the motion that we approve the contract with Miracle for the Briar Hill Park.
Second.
What's the amount? What's the amount?
It was
45,000.
$45,000, hold on, let me find it on my new iPad here. In the amount of $45,000 even.
All right. All right, moved and seconded. Maybe we'll have a little discussion on this. We had basically put a cap on how much we were willing to pay and ask for quotes on how much we could get for what we were willing to pay. And this particular vendor came forward with several things, but I'd like to think, as would maybe the Magistrate Hawkins and the Parks Committee, that we might be able to squeeze this down a little further. Is that right? Or, and I don't mean squeeze it down a little further, squeeze a little more out of our money, and with maybe another piece of equipment or a little more mulch. Is that something you'd like to address, or, you know?
Yeah, and I spoke with you about it, I spoke with Gary Parsons about it, who's our Parks Director, and of course the committee. And this contract, there were 2 options. So this is option 1, and it includes mulch, but perhaps less equipment. The budget that the Finance Committee saw and that we passed at the end of June allotted $50K. We'd like to spend the $50K, but maybe talk to this company and see if we can get a lot more, including the mulch and the extra things that option 2 had, which had like 3 more slides. It had a lot of other, it had actually a whole, almost twice the size of the smaller piece, which option 1 had, which was very good and very good for the price. But what we'd like to look at is spending the $50K, including the mulch, and what was included in option 2. And maybe Gary can speak a little bit more on that. It looks like he's coming.
Okay.
Good afternoon, Judge.
Gary?
Gary Parsons, Director of Parks. I have talked to Miracle about getting the Phase 2, which is the $50,000. The only way we can get mulch is if we get rid of the dome, which drops about $6,000, add that $6,000 back in with the mulch. The mulch is extremely important. This playground is a little bit taller than what we have down there. We will save what mulch we can from what we have, but we're gonna need more to make sure that when kids fall, they fall on a soft ground and not get injured. Option 1 gives us the swing, the dome, and the play system with mulch for the playground. Also border all the way around the playground at 45,000. I have talked to them. We can throw in a couple little walls on the playground for kids to climb through underneath, and maybe a little dome viewer thing at the top where they can sit up there and look out on that. Those are roughly about 500 apiece, so we'd spend another 1,500 on those. Still come in under budget.
So then why are we approving this contract? Because it sounds like we're not doing this, we're doing something else.
No, we're doing the 45,000. But I've got 5,000 still left in what was given to me in the budget that I can add a couple of things to it.
So would it be appropriate, would you like me to amend the motion to allow 50,000 to go with this and then be able to add some more things?
Yes.
Okay. So
Judge, I think that you're gonna have to go with the contract. He can do these other things. But I don't think it's fair to the other vendors to start adding stuff on after the after the bids have been open. You gotta go with the bid, it's 45,000 for whatever the bid called for. And if you have an additional 5,000 that you wanna use for these other things, well, you can do an à la carte purchase on that. Am I
Right,
not
that's what I was-
correct?
okay,
Yeah, I think we're mixing,
That's what I had planned on to do.
Yeah.
okay, so keep it
How
as
many,
it
how
is.
many vendors did we have bid on this?
Oh, 4 or
We have
5?
5.
Okay, I do remember, yeah, okay.
A couple of them gave
All
us a
right,
couple options.
well, I mean, where does this rubber mulch come from? I mean, can't we just pursue that individually and try to?
Yes. We can, and there are grants to get rubber mulch, and we can go after that.
I mean, is rubber mulch?
No.
Or is there?
no.
No.
No,
No, you have playground rubber mulch and you have decorative rubber mulch. It's two different things.
yes.
The rubber mulch for playgrounds has more give to it. It's not as big a chunks as the decorative rubber mulch.
And it's not, tars that have steel belted radials are not used in playground mulch because you can't get all of the steel cord out of the mulch when they shred the tar. So basically.
All right, but we could still try to pursue playground rubber mulch as an individually bid purchased item.
Yes.
Take it out of this and get more playground equipment, can't we?
Yeah.
I mean,
I think that's the way to go because the money was allocated for equipment. I don't think mulch is considered to be equipment. That's something you got to do. You got to put that down every so often because it doesn't wear out or burn up or blow away, but the kids seem to kick it out and it does compact after a certain point in time.
Well, it probably didn't call for installation too, but installation is still in here.
It did call for installation.
It did, equipment and installation.
Because I knew that was going to be quite expensive.
Do you have mulch in the bid? Because I haven't looked at this in a while.
I did not have mulch in the bid. He
Okay.
threw that in there as an extra.
Did everybody else put mulch in their bid?
They probably wouldn't because you could be mixing, you can correct me here, but probably they could be mixing, here again, mulch, like the judge says, is mulch, no, it's not. You can be mixing apples and oranges. One guy can get it from one vendor and one can get it from another and it not be exactly the same thing. And you can run into a problem there. I know a little bit about this.
How about if we go ahead with this playground, the equipment, and then try to work on these lesser items separately? But I think as I understood the committee's point of view, was that, we would like a couple more pieces of equipment in there,
Okay.
and we need to have the mulch too. Right, but
Yes.
the $50,000 cap was put on so that vendors would have some reasonable expectation of what the amount of money we were gonna spend was, and not come back with, $100,000 worth of stuff,
Right.
correct?
Yes. Yeah, it's hard to bid playground equipment. They're such a wide range.
Right, well, I think what's in the bid looks nice, and it looks
It
like
does.
it's fun, but I think Magistrate Hawkins and their committee would like to have some more things to play on as well. Is that correct?
Are you telling Gary to sharpen his pencil? Is that what you're telling us?
No, I mean, I'm not sure. We're
We're just discussion.
I guess,
trying to get everything we need.
well, I guess I have a question then, on, because I don't remember the other bids. But if we take and look at any other bid, if they don't have this $7,000 in for rubber mulch, if they've got more equipment, then why didn't we look at those other bids if we were looking for more equipment?
They didn't have more
We
equipment.
really didn't have more equipment.
The other vendors had comparable equipment, but didn't have mulch.
Correct. Some of them were smaller,
Different materials too.
different material. One of them had material that's the same material that's out there now, that I'm not putting that recycled plastic up again. We got maybe 10 years out of it, and it's all falling apart.
Is there a guarantee on how long this stuff will last?
Their warranties are 15 years. And according to them, what they tell me, they could last 20, 30 years. But, you know,
Memories won't go that far.
Yeah.
Manager Greenwell.
Thank you, Judge. If you wanted to save some money, you can spread the mulch yourself. Believe it or not, I've done that.
Right.
Probably a couple tons of it, and it comes in like 40-pound bags, and it takes a little bit of time, but it's not that hard. So if you had it not bulk delivered, but if you had it delivered, it wouldn't take long to spread that mulch.
right. The price he gave us is just delivery. We
Okay.
were spreading it ourselves.
Okay,
Yes.
Is that playground
Yes.
mulch?
yes.
Okay.
You can buy it by the bag and you can buy it by the truckload. Most people buy it by the bag because it's easier to ship. They ship
Yeah.
it to these playground equipment people.
I mean, my daughter and I went to Lowe's and bought 25 or 30 bags of mulch, put them on the back of a trailer, and we did that one time.
These are a little bigger than that.
Well, it
Are
works
these,
out.
They
are
need
these
a-
super
they need a
sacks?
forklift to pick up and then,
Are these a 2,000-pound super sacks?
yes.
And it was 14 tons
It
of
was
it.
14 tons they were quoting. or-
Manager Tice.
If I'm hearing this right, we want to recommend the Miracle Company, whether it's the 45 or the $50,000 package. If you went with the 45,000 package, there's a few things you'd add to it. If we went with the $50,000 package, you've got everything you want. We don't need to add anything, or am I saying that wrong?
We have everything we want in equipment. We will eventually need to add the rubber mulch.
The mulch. So, but we get all of the equipment.
Yes.
And at that point, none of the other bidders bidded mulch anyway. They were just bidding equipment. Is that correct?
Correct.
Well, I think what we ought to do is amend our purchase and go with the $50,000 worth of equipment rather than the 45, including the mulch. And then, if we have to pay extra for a little bit of mulch, we try to work that out on an individual purchase.
If it's the pleasure of the court, I'll change my motion to that. And I'd like to consult with you, but you're nodding, is that,
That is fine. That's good.
are you
Yes.
okay with that?
Yes.
Okay.
And I'll work on the grant for the rubber mulch.
What
Awesome.
changes the quote then?
They add, at the end of, one end of the slide, they add 2 more slides and a climbing apparatus.
So it's more equipment without the mulch than for $50,000?
Yes.
I'm just trying to understand what we're approving, because
Right.
what we have in front of us is not what we're talking about approving.
The main structure is the same, it's just that one end has a couple extra features.
So I
Two
think,
more.
I'm sorry.
It-
The
like I
the
said,
thing
it's
that
2 more
would,
slides and,
would change here is, it says 5 to 12 play structure, 18,699. It would say 5 to 12 play structure, 23,699.
something.
It's just
yeah.
because it still would have the swing, it would still have the dome, it would still have, the 4 foot by, or 4 foot and 12 foot tall surface timbers. It would still have all of the other things,
Correct.
but I don't remember off the top of my head, and I can see Magistrate Hounds's point too.
Do we have a dome today?
We do not.
Okay, so last year at this time, I was taking a dome down
Right.
because of safety reasons. So I'm curious as to why we want a dome, not for fiscal court, but another job. We had to remove the dome for safety reasons. So how, I'm assuming this dome's not very tall then, or?
Not very tall, and it's a little different than the domes we grew up with.
Okay.
It was all metal.
Right?
It's kind of a metal ladder, it goes around the top, and then it's cables, kind of like cables that come off the side with large balls on it that kids can climb on.
Okay.
So it's a little different.
So
than
the safety, it's been, okay, I get it.
Yes.
I'm good. Just,
Judge,
I was
I'll-
confused.
I'll re-second Magistrate Hawkins's motion.
Okay, so I'll first retract my first motion, and then I'll make the, okay, and I'll make the motion that we approve going with Miracle for the Briar Hill play structure in the amount of $50,000.
I'll second that.
Okay.
I got a question.
Magistrate Dye.
I'm a little confused here. The original bid's for $45,000. It says $7,000 rubber mulch. So we're upping, what are we getting for the additional $5,000 here?
I would say it's at least a third of the size bigger on the play structure itself. And,
Do we have a copy of that quote?
I do at my office.
Is that like option 2?
It is option 2.
Hold on just a second. Can you get that? That would make life a lot easier. I think that we could see what we're looking at.
yeah, so you can see at the bottom of page 22 on your iPad there, if you click on the link. And that shows you what this option 1 is. Option 2 is all of this, but it's beefier, if you can kind of, and you can see the orb in the middle and the swing set on the far end. And I wish I could put it up there for anybody watching to be able to see it. It is really nice, this 40, but if you look at the one that's 50,000, it's just really nice for just 5,000 more.
So Melissa's gonna go grab the bid and we can put it up then on the overhead.
Is that Miracles? Oh, yeah, that's just a smaller, option 1, okay. So it'd be like what we're looking at, but in color.
I have it upside down, I'm not sure.
Did you say that our 45,
Yes, sir.
did you say that our $45,000 bid had the mulch in it?
Yes.
45 did, yes,
But 50 did not.
but the 50 does not.
So are we talking about expansion of the,
This feature right here, the monkey bars, that actually moves out to the side here. And then they add a whole nother platform, walkway and platform with 2 slides coming off to the side, and then a climbing structure right in the middle that has 2 kind of ladders on the side, and then a rope ladder in the middle with a bell up top that kids could race to try and see who rings the bell first, kind of thing.
In my opinion, it goes from good, pretty good, to really cool.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, it adds 2 more slides, so you're up to four
You
four
like that?
slides on the structure.
Did this go through committee already?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. See, if you see here,
I'll make a motion, we just accept the original committee's recommendation.
Motion's on the floor.
Motion on the floor.
We can
This-
withdraw the other one.
So you can see, go ahead.
this section right here is what we're adding.
okay.
You see in the original one, the steps up there are kicked, you want me to just point that? This up here, right, Gary? is
Right
on
here.
the side.
This was here on the first one, now it's off the side, it's the monkey bars.
Do you have the bid document for that design?
Should be right at the front page of that book.
Because that's what we're talking about. This is what we're gonna approve, is this document right here, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Because Magistrate Hawkins, that changes the numbers. You said 23 and that's at 36. So the number's still $50,000, but I just want to make sure that we're getting
Go back to it.
quotation, the right
I bet
quotation.
The other thing that's probably changed would be the installation, but I didn't have this one in front of me. Let me see.
So it's option 2 that we're looking at.
Oh, no, installation's the same, 8,000.
Installation is the same.
Oh, Oh, you're right, 36. Oh, but there's a high discount. He put a discount on there of 6,600.
Okay, so now the motion is to use this quote here, what you're saying?
And apply for a grant.
Let's just do this piece, let's just do this piece first.
Yes, so to answer your question, yes.
Just to continue to convolute this issue here, I'm looking at the $45,000 bid, I'm looking at what's on the screen up there. It looks like to me it's the same 4 items, is that correct?
Correct.
So
It's that extra piece on the end that,
where's the extra piece reflected in the price, is what I'm asking.
It says
What-
extended flyer. Extended sales
Oh, the
flyer.
top number?
Top number, 36,972.
So it jumped from 18.6 to 36.9.
Yep, and then
With
there's,
the
Got it
discount on
now.
the bottom.
Well,
Motion's on the floor, we're just waiting.
can you, Denise, can you read back the motion, please? The amended motion? The amended motion? Or what's on the floor, what,
So Magistrate Hawkins' amended motion is for option number 2 for $50,000.
okay.
And Magistrate Likens seconds that.
Okay.
Okay.
And this one is option number 2.
I would talk too much further, we're gonna get really confused here, so,
Way past that, Judge.
let's,
Past that 15 minutes
I think the motion on the floor is to go with Miracle, the $50,000, the upgraded circumstance, upgraded equipment, and come back and work on the mulch at a later time. Get the mulch out of this one, right?
yes.
option,
Right.
make sure he says option 2.
Right.
Option 2.
All right.
Option
Option 2,
2.
Miracle.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. And for the record, I'd like to say that we are a family of, or a community of families. Many people don't have kids in the community, but many do. And all of us who are a little bit older here remember growing up and having a lot of fun at parks on equipment. And I'm all in favor of having a great playground equipment and having fun parks. Some of the most enjoyable memories of my life have been going to parks in my community where I grew up, and I rode the equipment and played on it that is now probably considered unsafe, and they don't have it anymore, which I think is a terrible shame. But to what we can do to have kids grow up loving and having a good experience in our parks and having fond memories, I'm all for spending that money. So, thank you, Gary. Next item is our payables, and when you're ready, we'll take a motion here.
Make a motion, we pay the payables.
Second?
Any discussion on any item there? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. On the railroad, what we have here now, the next item is that we've received a letter from the Oldham County Hazardous Materials Task Force Board of Directors, letter signed by Chief Steve Fonte of the Ballardsville Fire Department, and also by Kevin Parker, our Public Information Officer, and Deputy Chief at South Oldham Fire Department. This letter has to do with the severe, serious, and continuing threatening circumstance we have at Railroad Crossing in Crestwood. I'd like Jerry Nart to come back up to the podium here. We have our letter from the chiefs here. They would like Railroad Crossing closed. They think it's a severe risk. We've done everything we can down there to mitigate that we're aware of. I also have a letter of support from the Oldham County Board of Education signed by Superintendent Schultz, calling attention to the fact that Crestwood Elementary and the Oldham County Arts School are right along the railroad track. The South Oldham High School, the Camden Station, South Oldham Middle School are very close. Should there be a derailment there with hazardous material in a tank car, children could be in danger very quickly. So this thing's going on far enough. We need to step up. And Jerry, you want to tell us about the last incident and any other comments you've had?
Yes, sir. In 2020, we've had a total of 16 vehicles, 16 trucks, if you will, get stuck on the railroad tracks. We just had 2 during the month of September, but a total of 16. Now, a little background, just 2.5 years ago, or 2 years ago, through 17, we were up to almost 50. And we have cut that way back almost in half, if not more, by the repositioning of signs at the judge's direction and adding flashing lights to them. It dramatically cut it down to half of them, to in the 20s. However, that's still 20 to 26, if you will, that are getting stuck every year. And in this particular incident, the truck got stuck in the early hours of the morning, very little traffic, and for whatever reason, the driver did not immediately call 911. It's our understanding he was trying to call his boss and let him know that he had messed up and got stuck on the track. But if he had called 911, then the train would have been stopped and it would not have struck the truck. The reason we found out is because, in fact, a passerby saw it and she called 911 and said, "Hey, don't know if you know, but a train just hit a truck on Railroad Avenue." Well, we didn't know, okay? But by that time, the phone calls were coming in from the railroad and such. When I got to the scene, because I was right there, I was already out, and instead of going toward Buckner to my office, I turned left and went to Crestwood. And when I got there, I look for 2 things when I get to the scenes of those. I look for what is that truck carrying when it's stuck, not even just involved in an accident. I look to find out what's on there for the potential. In this case, it was plastic hanging pots going down to the Dival's greenhouse. So I guess he had to get another shipment for the hanging mums or whatever. But the other thing I look at is, in this case, when there was an accident involving the train, right there in the middle of that semi-trailer, which half on one side, half on the other side of the railroad, right in the middle of it was a tank car with the number 1170 on it. And they all have codes, and that stands for ethanol, okay? Don't know whether it was full or not empty. The only way a tank car can be classified as empty by the railroad industry is if it has been steam cleaned out, because they will consider it empty or not empty, if you will, because of residual. And it could be anywhere from 500 to 700 gallons still in that tank, but they don't consider that, that just stays in there, okay? So it's still a potential hazard for whatever it might be. But that particular chemical, if there was a spill, then you need to evacuate at least 1,000 meters, or 1,000 feet, 300 meters. Okay, well, a football field is 900 feet. So do a 900-foot radius around that intersection, and you're going to get Crestwood Elementary and the Art Center, the Hardware, McMahon, all that stuff around there in 1,000 feet. If there's a fire involved in this type of incident, you have to evacuate for a half a mile, and that takes even more. Well, thank God we didn't have any fire or any damage to that tank car that I've been apprised of. The engine did receive some damage, but they were still able to move the train out of the way. Again, since January 1st of 2015, there have been 200 trucks stuck on those tracks at that intersection. Again, we dramatically reduced it since 2017, but there's still 20 to 30, if you will, happening a year. And in this case, there was one that involved a train, and there was a collision. Thank God we don't have that many collisions, because we usually get them notified in time. But that track is a busy track. There's a lot flows through this county on that track.
Well, Magistrate Logston.
Yes, so is this just a recommendation we're recommending to the city of Crestwood and to the state?
No, well, this
We
is our,
can't-
what's...
we cannot
what's
do anything.
The pleasure of the court here is that, yeah, we can do nothing. It would be one thing. Next thing would be to allow me to send a letter to District 5 or to Jim Gray, Transportation Cabinet Secretary, saying that we're very concerned that we need something to be done. We could could pass a motion here, make a motion the fiscal court request that this, street be closed. It's in the city of Crestwood, so it's not really our street, but it's our issue. Jerry Nart's standing here. Every time we have a problem, it's our issue.
I'm not questioning that. My question is, I've been trying to study, I mean, I went home at 11 o'clock to get something to eat. There was another truck turning around, so we almost had one today. That's not my point. My point, I guess, is the only thing I can think of, and I've thought about this for weeks, is put bigger signs up that say Gene Snyder, 265, or 71, and have them pointed different directions instead of like right there at the crossing, because they're just little bitty signs, and that's where people are trying to get to when 71 gets bottlenecked. They're just trying to get back to 71 and 265. That's my only thing. I'm not against closing this crossing. I think it is a dangerous crossing. There are, what do we have, 5,000 people across it a day? I know we did a study on that at one time. I'm not against closing it because it is dangerous. You're going to have to do something with the three-way or four-way stop up at Crestwood Elementary, because it's going to be a total bottleneck then, with people trying to stop, start, unless you put a light there or close both crossings and make everybody go up to the underpass. But I'm not so sure that, I wouldn't try one more thing, is put bigger 71 and 265 signs up. And Chris, you might not agree with me. I'm trying to solve a problem here just like everybody else. So it might not work. I don't know.
We did
But,
a
and
study.
again, I'm not against closing the crossing if that's a safety thing. But remember, Bullitt County train derailed and blew up, and there was no crossing. Nobody hit anything that time. So it's not just because something hit something that a train can derail and blow up. So
True, but if you look at that intersection, and I'm not going to put words in Mr. Nart's mouth, but I asked him to, when we had this conversation 3 weeks ago, about more signage, and can you tell the court what you were told when you asked about putting additional signage up?
So first off, let me say that we would refer to that as Railroad Avenue. That is actually part of Highway 329. That's a state road. It's not a county road. So the state has the jurisdiction on it, if you will. When I asked about more signage, I was told that literally, that is the most signed intersection in the Commonwealth of Kentucky.
I'm not talking about trucks getting stuck. I'm talking about 71, 265.
If they
to
can't
show
read those
to go
signs, they're not going to
straight.
read the 71 to 65.
Well, in this case, they weren't diverting from I-71. He was trying to get to Davos.
Well,
And the
that one,
GPS
I
took him
grant
that
it, I
direction.
grant it, but most of the people are trying to leave up here at Toll House and get down to Westport Road, or trying to get when 71 shuts down, trying to get around to get to 71. It was just a suggestion.
I'm all for
Take it or
whatever we
leave
can
it,
do to
so-
stop it.
Commissioner Greenwell.
Thank you, Judge. The only way you're going to stop this from ever happening is to close the road. I watched a video last night on YouTube of a railroad bridge in North Carolina, and they call it the can opener. It's 11 feet 8 inches. It has its own website and its own cameras. They lose a truck a week down there, and they have an LED flashing sign that says overheight vehicle turn now. LED flashing lights. So you're not going to put a sign up there that's going to solve this problem, because the truck driver is watching the GPS unit and the windshield. And so you're not going to stop this unless you close the road. And I was never in favor of doing that, but I'm in favor of it now.
Magistrate Tice.
I think something needs to be done. If there wasn't a community there, then I think we should take the leadership and get it closed. But we're in the middle of a community. I think we should be supportive of that community, speaking of Crestwood, should take the leadership role, and we should be in harmony with them. So it would be nice, before I voted anything here, is for them to stand up and say this is what they want, because it could affect 2 crossings, and it's right in the heart of their community. So I'd just like to know where their position is on that, and hopefully they have a position.
Well, I appreciate that, and certainly I think it's something that should be discussed. It's with the Crestwood City Commission and Mayor Kramer. Nevertheless, when there is an incident there, Oldham County Emergency Management, Oldham County Police, Oldham County EMS, everybody that gets tangled up in responding to the circumstance is, from a county function. So I do think we have some obligation to address the issue. Magistrate Dye.
You said there was 200-plus trucks stuck here since 2015.
Correct.
Now, of course, we don't have records about, because I like the fact that you talked about the flammable liquid, hazardous liquids and stuff. We don't know what else was on the other trains and what could have happened that didn't happen. So that's kind of runs a shiver up my spine. I do work in transportation in my job, and I understand that there can be problems with what's on the train and the positioning of it. But when you got the school campus that the judge pointed out, the South Oldham campus, you got the two schools right there by it. I thought the time to close this crossing is long before we made it the most signed intersection in the state. But if we're going to do this, I think that, as the judge has pointed out, we have a lot of resources. We're a stakeholder here. We got a lot of resources tied up in every one of these past 200 things. So with some of this money we spending on the truck getting caught, we could probably buy some mulch with it, okay? But the thing is, if we're going to really, truly do this, let's not have a Band-Aid approach. I thought that's what the signs were at the beginning. I still think that. The chief is sitting back there, and he will tell you right away that number one complaint he gets from people like me is people in our subdivisions and our districts don't know how to read a stop sign, don't know how to read a speed limit sign. So when you got people that live here don't know how to read those simple signs, that people are not going to get these signs either. But if we're going to do this, then we need to talk about this intersection, the next one, and how you can get a flow of traffic down to 329, where they actually built a way to go under the track in a safe manner. Because if you're going to dump all those cars off Railroad Avenue over there by the 5-star, that's going to be the next disaster that the chief of police people are going to be sitting on. So, I mean, you need to do this with a large thought, a bigger picture than just closing the gates at Railroad Avenue. That's just, we did that, that's just going to start a bigger problem, which we're going to be back up here doing it again.
Well, to finish my story,
I didn't interrupt you.
so the truck turned around and started heading back towards go underneath the railroad tracks. And there's no sign there that says, don't cross there. He went and turned there instead of going down another half a mile and going under the tracks where he could have turned. So closing that track, and again, I'm not against it if it'll save trucks getting stuck there. You're gonna have to do something else to the next crossing up, because they're just gonna turn there, and there's no turning lanes. The guy had to go out almost to the convenience store, I call it convenience store, the gas station, to turn, to get into where he was trying to turn, and I came to court. So I have no idea how he got when he crossed the tracks at Crestwood, how he made that crossing there. So closing that one track, we have to do this at the same time, work on all the crossings instead of one. And again, I'm not against closing the crossing if it will stop all this, but you've got to fix both of them at the same time.
And it's not to say that the Reardon crossing, for lack of a better term, couldn't be expanded. Okay, there's, you know, I mean, there is, at least on one side, I don't want to say an inactive business, but a business that seems like it's slowed down a little bit from what it used to, that maybe that property could be picked up and that intersection widened.
Do you have any idea how long that would take to do all of that?
Well, yeah.
Well, how long did it take to get the turn lane in a DQ? I mean, let's spend the money on getting the right fix in, if that's what they deem to do. But moving your problem down a half a mile is not going to help anything. You've got a perfectly good underpass over there. Utilize it.
Well, yeah, well, the whole point of, I think, Magistrate Lugston was making was that the people who come through that way, come to the first town, they don't realize there's another way to turn further down. They are going to take the first right that they come to if they're coming out of Crestwood. And so I agree that's much better, underpass is a much better situation.
Maybe you could put those signs on wheels and just roll them
Yeah,
down.
well, we'll just say, 18-wheeler, keep on rolling.
You just said they didn't read signs.
I don't.
Okay, well, how about this? I'll propose that, let's, maybe we, let's say, table this for a month, and in the meantime, I'll meet with, Mayor Kramer, and maybe I can ask, who's our state representative in that? Is that, Jason there? Okay. Pardon? Okay, I mean, and, we could maybe get a hold of, Jim Gray or, Matt. I think we probably, give him a chance to respond, but we've reached a point where I think the majority of us, maybe all of us, feel we just can't keep pushing this issue down the road. It's reached the point of no return.
Judge, I don't know, has anyone ever done a study as far as what can be done there? I mean, that's the first approach.
So several years ago, we were working on a similar project, the Hazmat Group was, and we were told that the railroad could not lower the track because it would be in so far direction, they'd have to do so much work in both directions, that we'd have to raise the roadbed up, and that was not an option that KYTC was willing to entertain because of drainage issues, among a host of other things. So there has been other work done, prior to this. We're only buying time, and I think to a different comment, but I'd rather be proactive and close the crossing than be reactive because something bad happened, and then we come back and say, well, now we're going to close the crossing because a tank car blew up.
Right.
Let's be proactive.
I agree. We've been trying to be, and we've done everything that we can do, and short of, we can take our sign down there and put it in Spanish as well, and,
Well, this gentleman that got hit,
they, like Steve
was-
says, they're looking at their windshield and GPS.
the driver of this truck spoke very good English, but he was not Hispanic. He was from Central Europe, Ukrainian or something of that nature, so. Do we put it in all languages or what?
Mr. Greenwell.
Thank you, Judge. The only time there was a train derailment, I'm kind of the historian of the court, was in 1968, and there was not a vehicle involved. And it happened right there at Steph's funeral home.
Judge, if,
Yes, sir.
can I just say, if you're gonna do this, can you word it to where we're gonna ask the state, this is our recommendation? Because I don't wanna get a whole bunch of calls of saying, well, you all said y'all can do this. Again, this is a city road, or this is a state road. We cannot close a state road. We can ask for recommendations to close it, but we cannot do that. That'd be like us trying to shut down 71. So can you just word it where our recommendation is the court to solve problems? We are asking the state to do something, because again, people are gonna be calling us saying, well, y'all said y'all can close the road, and we can't do that. We have to ask the state to do that.
Right.
You don't,
Magistrate Hawkins.
you don't need a motion from us to have a conversation with Mayor Kramer, KYTC, and Jason Nemus, our state rep, do
No,
you?
no.
Okay. So we can move on?
I've got one.
I feel it's the sense of the court is that we've reached the point where the situation is not going to continue to be tolerable, that we are, asking for and politely demanding that a solution be developed to this.
I've got, this keeps running through my head, is where's the railroad in on this thing? Getting their trains delayed, I know they get paid when their trains are down by whoever causes the accident, but,
They're upset about it. The area train master has been here to see me, and, but they think
can
it's-
he
they
get
don't
his
think
name
it's-
on the letters somewhere and say, we want this too, or?
Well,
I can't imagine how fiscal court could tell the railroad what to do.
I'm
That's,
sure the railroad, the state has already talked about it.
oh, we can't, but they,
And as
they're not-
even,
but they're wanting us to do it.
even as lucrative as it has been for a local towing industry, the other day at the last one, he said, it's okay with me, yeah, if we do something where I don't get another call here. So he admits it, so.
Okay, well, thank you, Jerry, appreciate it. Next item here has to do with our waste tire management grant program and composting project. Becky Zockline.
Thank you, Judge. Good afternoon, members of the Fiscal Court. I'm asking the court today to allow the judge to sign this agreement, which allows the state to come in and conduct a waste tire collection event. It will be October 29th and 30th from 9 to 3 p.m. at Oldham County Fairgrounds, and also Saturday morning, October 31st from 9 to noon. And again, I want to stress the fact that the site is the Oldham County Fairgrounds, not the State Road Garage, as it usually is. So I'm asking the court to allow the judge to sign this agreement, which requires that we provide support staff and advertising.
Make that
Judge?
motion, Judge.
Second.
Okay.
All right, Magistrate Greenwell.
Why do we have redundancy? The state just announced a program the other day at the State Highway Garage for the same thing, for waste tires. Yes, the Extension District sent it out to all their,
My fault. That's my fault. I initially, as soon as I got the notice of the dates, I immediately contacted our State Road Garage to set aside the dates. They responded, yeah, sure, you can do it. So I sent out a notice, not knowing that KYTC had closed all State Road Garages to the public. I only found that after the fact.
because of COVID.
Yes,
Ah,
yes.
okay,
So that's why we had to move to the fairgrounds.
I see.
No redundancy.
okay.
So thank you for bringing that up. Okay, so
So we have, was that a motion, or would you like me to make the motion?
I think we've got a motion. We do.
A motion, is second. Okay.
Motion and a second to go ahead and do this. All right. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. You want to talk about the composting there?
sure. I'm very pleased to announce the composting program that Oldham County Fiscal Court is conducting in conjunction with the Conservation District, the Cooperative Extension, and the Public Library. The Conservation District is the program management aspect of this, but it's a residential composting program that gives instruction on composting to residents and gives away a very simple bin to residents. We're also looking at expanding this with the schools, and I think one has been given already to Centerfield Elementary. But at this time, we publish a webinar on September 18th, and it's up on YouTube. There's a site right there. We've had 488 views of the webinar since we published it on the 18th. From that, 130 viewers are eligible for bins, and roughly 100 bins have already been given out of the 220 bins that were allowed in this grant purchase. So we're really excited about the success of this, and we will probably apply for this grant again next year.
Okay. All right. Thank you. As far as our waste tire thing, I did have, I've received a couple of complaints from people that went to the hazardous household event. I don't know how many people we had there, but I was told that some of the staff people there were not wearing their mask.
Yes, I heard that, and actually I got, I requested feedback because I was a little busy at my end. I was wearing my mask. And I really, I couldn't see what they were doing, but I've consulted with our own staff and with the EEI staff about the mask wearing. Russ is, he and his crew were staying back away from vehicles, and if they ever approached a vehicle, they would put their mask on. And the EEI representatives, their policy is that all staff wears a mask when dealing with the public. And they were very apologetic about appearing to be mask negligent. Given that it is an outdoor setting and we don't have an issue with airflow, I think it was a little safer, but that doesn't excuse not wearing a mask when dealing with the
Okay,
public.
well, so I know we had the contract people there working, and I think everybody was there except you and Russ were contract people of some
Well,
kind.
and our labor works people.
Labor Works people,
Yeah.
so I didn't even realize we had any of our people there other than you. I didn't know we had those people down there, but I think on the waste tire, we
Oh,
need
yeah.
to insist that everybody have their mask on.
Right, and that's a requirement for the state anyway. They're the people conducting the event, so that will be a requirement.
All right, great. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I'm gonna just, do we have I guess I got a note here that we're ready to approve the vehicles that we opened? Is that right? And then we'll go on to Jim and after that here, but,
Okay, if I take my mask off so I can.
oh,
I can
I think
talk.
you should.
Judge, we got two bids for the cars. The original bid was for 7 2021 Dodge Durangos. We got 2 bids. One bid addressed that exactly, and that was from Hunt in Franklin, Kentucky. They bid for 7. Their bid is correct, with all the facts correct. Their total price is $217,441. The second bid is from John Jones. It is for 5, it looks like it is for 5 2020 Durango Pursuit vehicles. Exact same car, exact same equipment, exact same outline, everything we requested, but a different year and a different number. When you compare the 2 bids, the price per car is less for John Jones than it is for Hunt. The total for the 5, if we bought 5 on the bid that John Jones put in for compared to 5 that would have come through Hunt, it'd be $3,800 savings for the county. I don't know if we can do that. Clearly, it is more advantageous to buy from John Jones because the price per unit is $780 less than what the price per unit would be at Hunt. My recommendation would be to buy the one that's going to save us the money.
Right, did they say they were gonna, they had 5 on the lot and we're gonna come up with 2 more?
I
Through the order
interpret it that
process?
way, but it's not spelt out that way. We know for sure he has 5 because that's what he put in his contract, his bid. But the position I'm in is I would recommend buying the 5 because it's a $3,800 savings to the county. And the other point of interest that I would stress
Zoom tight.
is that we get them immediately. And just today, 2 of the Crown Vics that we intend to replace are broken down, just today. And so our cars are getting a little slim, but I don't know if we can do that.
All right, Mr. Carter, are you still there, down there?
What's the question?
I guess the question is that we asked for a bid of 7, we got a bid of 5. Are we able to take the 5 and, or are we required to, I guess, take the 7, or can we, should we try, does the Franklin, Kentucky, do they have theirs on the
Yeah,
lot?
Hunt does not have them on the lot.
Oh, okay. That was my
Available
question.
there.
Does not. He doesn't say that in his bid. He doesn't have them on the lot. And being how they're 2021 cars, they have to be ordered, because that price just came out.
Can we buy 2020s even though we bid 2020, we bid 21s?
You know,
That was my question for Mr. Carter.
the only difference in the equipment of the car is the year. I mean, we didn't ask for much of the car. We specifically asked for about 6 or 7 things on the car. John Jones has those explicitly in his bid, that those will be included in the 2020s, as does Hunt with the 2021s. So the only difference is a year.
I wonder if
Really
Hunt
car.
Ford would be able to, let's see,
Alyssa, do you have
match the
something you want?
2020.
I would say Hunt Ford's got the superior bid because of the extra year.
Both brand-new cars, though.
I know. But think about the markup from year to year.
My concern is now we're not comparing apples to apples.
Exactly.
Because one's a 2021 and one's a 2020. Perhaps the best thing to do is to contact Hunt, right? Let me get this right, and ask them if they have 2020s on the lot.
Or ask John Jones to price 2021s to get apples to apples.
Yeah, except I think if we could get, personal opinion, if you can get 5 on the lot right today, that's a better value for the county than waiting, whatever it is, 6 months. But that's just my opinion on that one.
Right.
But
Measure Tice.
The way it was read and the way I heard it and interpreted is that he had quoted us $3,300 per car, and I have 5 on the lot, which to me, he didn't say I can't have 2 more. But I would accept that bid, and I'll make that motion to accept the 5 and ask him when he can get the other 2 for us. And if he says, well, I can't, well, then will you provide 2021s at the same price? Because he didn't say I can't get any more cars.
Now, Hunt gave us a price of $31,063 per car. John Jones gave us a price of $30,300 per car.
That's what I was talking about, is
Yeah.
talking to Jones.
So it's a $783 difference.
Well, we're talking a different model year, too.
Yes, sir.
right.
But the chief said the cars were identical,
Other than the year.
other than a year. What's the difference because of the year on it? Is there any difference in the vehicle?
We advertised for 2021s. Okay?
I'm hearing you.
So the fair thing is to say, you got any 2020s?
I
All
understand what
right,
you're saying.
well, our meeting is not going to be over for probably another 45 minutes to an hour. Can we make some calls here and see what we
Sure.
can find out?
I will do that. Thank you,
I
Judge.
think there is it's attractive to get your hands on them quickly. Waiting is a problem. We are having problems with some of these cars running out of gas or parts, or do we want to fix stuff up that we're going to not keep?
Well, if you remember last fiscal year, we ordered 2 in the fall and didn't get those until the last part of June of this year because of the COVID shutdown. And this year, we got 5 Crown Vics left in the fleet. All 5 of those Crown Vics are needed of repairs. We're just piecing them together little by little, not to invest a lot of money into cars that date back to 2008, 2009, because we're just going to lose money. We got 2 of them now. The transmissions are slipping, and we're not going to replace those transmissions. It's just a waste of money. But we have 3 officers that will go into training soon that will need these cars early in the spring. So we're going to get to a point where it's going to be kind of pretty tight for us. And I guess that's the advantage of what I saw in the John Jones bid, although it wasn't precise to what was asked. It was, tempting because they've got 5 on the lot, which we could get quick. But I will make those phone calls.
Well, we all know the saying about the bird in the hand.
That's true. Okay, thank you.
All right, why don't you see what you can find out here? Okay, next is Jim Silliman here. Thank you, Jim, for waiting. I'm glad we brought that up. I was trying to short circuit the chief having to wait another hour before we discussed that, but, it turned out that we can use additional information. So go ahead with the quality place discussion.
Yes, so Quality Place, for those who might not be aware, is about a third of a mile road in Buckner off Highway 146. I think it's best known for the YMCA at the northeast end of it. Our road department's also an adjoining property on that. We've been working with Carriage House, also known as Tree House, a property owner that they own. This is an 80-foot wide private road easement. We've been working with the adjoining property owners to get this 80-foot private road turned over to the county. Part of that has involved getting bids from Louisville Paving last November, actually, to patch and pave the road to bring it up to the county standards. One of the moving parts in all this process is what you have before you today, which are two agreements with Carriage House or Tree House. One is the temporary construction easement agreement, and the other is the road improvement and dedication agreement. Again, in order to bring that 80-foot right-of-way into the county, or 80-foot private road to make it a 80-foot right-of-way. So all I'm asking for today is for the fiscal court to authorize the judge to be able to sign these agreements with Carriage House. And they were, your paperwork should include the approval from John Carter after his review.
Two motions or one?
Two, please, since there are two documents.
Well, we need two. We need,
So the right,
Construction easement, I'm sorry.
okay, temporary construction easement agreement.
I'll second that.
any discussion on that? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
The road improvement and dedication agreement. Thank you.
Second on
Second.
that? Okay, second.
Yes.
All right, any discussion on this? Magistrate Likens.
I think it needs to be brought up, we bid this for $57,000 some dollars, and Carriage House is paying.
It was 54,000 and change was the low bid, and their amount is 17,000 and some odd dollars.
17,604.
And it's based on the frontage, a proportion of the frontage on the roadway.
So our total cost is?
Well, the county will pay their proportional share, our proportional share for the roadway.
45,000.
100.
100. Thank you.
For our frontage, correct.
Right, everybody on the street is picking up a proportionate share with the exception of the YMCA. And the
actually-
Carriage House has agreed to cover the YMCA.
Okay.
That's because there was an agreement years ago between YMCA and Carriage House when a right turn lane was put in on 146 that Carriage House would take over the maintenance for YMCA, so that's been covered. And we've so far received checks from 4 of the 8 adjoining property owners. Of course, we're committed as the county for the road department. And then we've got this agreement that includes that cost, and we've got an agreement with JR Foods.
Magistrate Hawkins.
Did this come through road committee?
Yes, it did.
You did.
The many parts are going through road committee.
Okay. And would you briefly tell me the benefit that the county has to this?
Well, this road serves the public, so it makes it no longer a private road with individual access easements. Because it serves those 8 properties, it makes sense to have it be a public right-of-way. The goal is to bring it up to the county standard, and the adjoining properties pay that cost before we'll take it over, so we're not paying to take in a road that's not up to standard.
Standard. Okay, that's what I was getting at. Thank you.
Right, we haven't had a vote yet, have we? All right, we've had some discussion. Is there any further on this item? I think this is something that not a lot of us here have been looking forward for some time. We've been happy to say, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. And this will be a good piece of progress in Buckner.
And so just so you know, there will also be, again, many of these moving parts, this is one of those. The goal, and I've been coordinating with the contractor, Louisville Paving, that as we get all these pieces in place, hopefully for the next fiscal court meeting, we can have the final agreement signed and taken care of.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Appreciate the work you and Jim have done to get us to this point.
Thank you.
Next item has to do with our Paylocity payroll system servicing program, and Tina Schaaf is here.
Good afternoon. Before the court today is a letter of intent for another module for Paylocity that we have been utilizing for the last 5 months. It's called the survey module. Paylocity has given it to us for 5 months. It was 6 months free, but we've been using it for the last 5 months. We've been using it for our employee daily health screening questions. Employees just log on and they answer the questions, put their temperature in there, and then they submit it. It was to comply with the governor's recommendations for returning to the healthy workplace. So instead of the paper forms, which we started out with, we decided to try this out, and it's been working great. I've been using it for those surveys daily, and then we've been using it also for exit interview surveys and for new hire surveys to check in on our new hires to see how they're doing. So the cost for that is it's 45 cents per employee per month. So I'd like to add this module to the other 3, the recruiting, onboarding, and the learning management system that we have in place.
Magistrate Logston? Second? For a second?
Second.
All right, that's good. Any discussion on this? I think it's a good module, and I understand the employees have picked up and they're using it, and so lets us know every day if everybody is non-temperature, or everybody has a temperature, but if you have one that's too high.
Yes.
All right. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Thank you.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. All right, now we're on for the contract modification for the inspection services for Old Floydburg Road Safety Improvement, and Belinda Demas is back. And,
Federal projects such as the Old Floydsburg Road project require daily on-site construction inspection and management during the construction phase. Some of the inspection activities that will be included under this agreement are daily construction observation and reports, monitoring quantities of construction materials as they're delivered and used, wage rate interviews of employees, contractor invoice review of materials to make sure they comply with Buy American standards, and other type activities. This is an agreement with DLZ to provide inspection services through a subcontract with QK4 in the amount of $69,775. And this will be paid out of the overall construction funds that were authorized for this project. And we're asking fiscal court to allow Judge Vogel to sign this agreement.
Judge, I'd like to make that,
What did I say? DLZ will subcontract with QK4. Well, DLZ was the original consultant that was selected through a process for this project, and QK4 was a partner in their submission. So that's why they're a sub on this.
QK4 did not submit their own.
You know, a lot of times engineering firms will work together because they might not have someone who does all of the individual pieces that we need for a project. And so QK4 partnered with DLZ when they submitted.
From the outset?
Yes, from the
Okay.
outset. And so that's why KYTC was able to approve them without us going through a whole new process to select them for inspection services.
Judge, I'd like to make that motion.
Second.
Moved and seconded that we, what are we doing?
Signing the contract
We're
for-
allowing DLZ to subcontract
Subcontract.
with QK4.
Right.
Correct? And
For $69,775.
Yes.
you know, we need to do that because they have signed with us to do it, but
Right. And it's
they're
required
modifying
to
it.
use federal funds
Right.
like we are for this
Right,
project.
I got it. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. All right, our next, now we'll talk about the outdoor lighting for the park and ride at Apple Patch.
This is an agreement with LG&E to install and operate 9 outdoor lights at the Park and Ride at Apple Patch. It's a 5-year agreement at a cost of $187.47 per month. And there's no installation cost, it's just the monthly fee to operate the lights.
All right?
Second.
Any discussion on this?
Yes.
Magistrate Tice?
Yes. Would that be our expense, or that just be a pass-through and be Crestwood's expense?
Crestwood got to take care of the snow removal. We got everything else.
It's about what it boils down to. Man, Jim, you want to?
Are you saying you approve of that, or what do you say?
The road that leads up to the park and ride lot will be a Crestwood City Street, or is. The parking lot itself was deeded to Oldham County when we were doing this project, so it's really in our property. Now, Judge had asked me to talk to Mayor Kramer about whether or not they would split the cost with us, and he hasn't responded to me at this point. So, doesn't mean that he won't, but we're just having a little trouble getting him to answer us.
The only question that what I have is that when we started the project, we applied for the federal money because it had to come through the county so that the Crestwood could have it. And everything was going fine. Now all of a sudden, the last couple of months, there's a bill here and there's a bill there, and we're picking that up as our cost. And we never knew on the front end that there was going to be any cost to us, because there wasn't supposed to be any cost to us. And now that I'm seeing that, I'm asking to ask questions, and I'm not sure I'm happy with the answers.
Manager Greenwell?
Judge, I move we table this until another time, until we get an answer back from Mayor Kramer.
Second on that?
I'll second that.
All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? All right. Let's see what we can do. Right, I agree with you that some of these things seem to be falling on us, you know, more than the Crestwood. Now, in Crestwood's defense, I will say that we did receive a check for $25,000 this month from Crestwood for whatever we wanted to use it for. That doesn't mean that we wanted to use it on these lights. But we need to all work together. This was a joint project, but it seems to be more Crestwood than us, although, you know, where that demarcation is, you know, it's wavy a little bit. Well, you know, so let's see what we can do here to everybody agree on this, okay? And what about, I mean, Apple Patch is no longer called Apple Patch, it's called Pillar now, and, you know, honestly speaking, if no one from Pillar is ever gonna park in this parking lot, okay, but if they're gonna use it for some of their stuff, maybe they ought to be a little bit on the hook too. You know, I mean,
And we are using it for every commute counts. So KIPTA is got at least one carpool van there, and we anticipate there will be others.
Right.
So,
Right.
so it's any commuter, any ride share, or once TARC reinstates their Oldham County express bus route, there'll be commuters parking there for the express.
Right,
bus.
and we have talked to KIPTA about trying to get the rideshare program back, and it's, well, not really get it back, get it expanded, but you need people who are going to the same place. You know, we do have, I think, one unit that's 4 or 5 people ride to Cincinnati every day in.
Yeah, they ride to
Rideshare program.
Cincinnati, Frankfurt, Lexington, and I don't think we have any that are riding into downtown Louisville, but
If you're a group of people who are going in the same direction and are willing to all ride in the same vehicle, we can actually probably provide you with a vehicle to ride in. Who pays the gas on those, do you know? The rider?
the rideshare program, I'm not sure exactly how it works, but there is a cost to each individual rider. And it's, rideshare provides the van, and I think they have to pay a monthly fee. Do you remember, is it a monthly fee? Yeah.
Okay, you know, we're all pretty much used to getting in our own vehicle and going somewhere, but some people take the bus and some ride share, so. Okay, well, let's hold this off and see what we can figure out in the next 30 days.
Okay,
Do you have the next one?
I do, sir.
Okay, that has to do with Eden Parkway, phases 1 and 2.
Sure. This is the contract amendment number 1 for the Eden Parkway construction and the LaGrange Parkway median modifications. If you remember, about a month ago, we selected and you awarded to Louisville Paving Company the construction of Eden Parkway. That project was $2,740,000. In the bidding process, we did recognize and understood that there were stockpiles of dirt that were in the right-of-way, and they would have to be moved. And because of negotiations on a potential site in Oldham Reserve, we didn't know, and we knew that that site was going to use some of this dirt. We didn't know the timing, so we asked the bidders not to bid moving that stockpile. But we did, in an addendum questionnaire that everybody saw, say that we would, after a successful bidder was chosen, that we would get into a contract modification to move those stockpiles. So that's why we're here today. There's a contract for Louisville Paving to move the stockpiles and clear and grub the areas that they're going to be moving the stockpiles to, and that is in the amount of $395,192.50. And then there's an associated cost with that to get permits to be able to clear the trees, because as you know, we have potential bat habitat on Oldham Reserve, and we've been working with Red Wing for quite a number of years. They're our environmental consultant, so there's costs associated with Red Wing putting in applications for 3 sites, and also for actual bat habitat mitigation fee, and that's a total of $18,912.40. What we're asking for is fiscal court's concurrence that they allow Judge Vogel to authorize and sign this contract. If you have any questions, Jim Silliman is here to talk about any of the details in this proposal.
All right, and you did appear at the LaGrange City Council last night?
Forgot to mention that, yes. This is split between fiscal court and City of LaGrange, and last night they approved this amount. So they will pay half of the amount.
So the total is the 395, 192 plus the 18, plus
Yes.
the 18,912?
Yes.
Divided by 2.
Divided by 2.
Yeah, got to put that part in there.
Makes it twice as good.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion, Judge, that we accept the 2 charges with a total of.
Right. For a second here.
I didn't do the math. I took them separately.
Well, yeah, we left them
207.
separate because one is for Louisville Paving, the contract amendment, that's the $395,000 amount. The other is kind of split between Red Wing Ecological and the U.S. Fish and Wildlife.
So who do you want to make the second? I'll do the first bid with
Louisville Paving.
Louisville Paving. So who we contracted with the second one? Both of them?
Well, the second one will be between Red Wing Ecological, and then some of the mitigation fees go to the U.S. Fish and Wildlife.
Oh, I know, but who we contracted? Who to make the check out to?
Well, can we just get authorization for funds to be, or approval for funds to be authorized?
Well, Red Wing has $4,500 plus a $1,300 expense for mapping, but the other one goes to U.S. Fish and Wildlife. That's $13,000 and something. I don't know that you necessarily have to divide that all up in who we're paying, but Louisville Paving has $395,190.50.
Good with that.
Okay, so your motion, your first motion here is to go ahead and, contract with Louisville Paving here for $390,
Contract
for our percentage of this
Which is
contract.
197, 596.25. That's our number. I don't think we're not approving the whole 395. We're only approving
Well-
our 50%.
We have a contract with Louisville Paving that is signed by both the city and fiscal court. So essentially, you're authorizing the judge to sign this modification. In that contract, it says that they will bill separately for half each entity.
Okay.
So it's, rather than splitting hairs, it's easier to just agree that we're paying that amount to Louisville Paving, and the base contract already takes care of how it's split. For your all's understanding, it's divided in half, so having that number is,
That motion is made by Magistrate Dye, and who was the second?
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded, all right. Now, we discuss that any further? Here, Magistrate Greenwell?
Thank you. Jim, refresh my memory, and who was it that built LaGrange Parkway?
The Kentucky Transportation Cabinet and Louisville Paving was the contractor.
Okay.
All right, Judge Hawkins.
And in that contract, all the topsoil and everything will stay on county property.
Yes, we have specifically in our contract with Louisville Paving that all material stays there, with the exception of the shredding of trees. You know, once they take down the trees and they chip them, we put in no burning, but we didn't necessarily want to keep all the shredded vegetation because it's really of no value. So the contract that's already being executed right now, they have subcontracted with Bob Ray Company, and they're hauling off all of the shredded material. But everything else, all the dirt, rock,
You can
everything's-
buy it back later as mulch.
Yeah.
Yeah. All the dirt stays on site somewhere.
You know why I'm asking that?
I do. That's why we specifically put it in their contract.
I've got a comment from Manager Greenwell. I think I'm gonna finish your thought when who built the highway, and then KYTC and Louisville Paving. So, you know, at the Oldham board, we went through a lot of discussion on where do we put all this shot rock? Okay, and that's what this stuff is. It's topsoil, but it's basically mostly shot rock. Where do we put it? So we decided, well, this seems to be the most likely place over here. Well, you know how that turned out. It's in the wrong place.
Well, was there not a map of the proposed roads?
Yeah, no, of this road, there was an idea of where it was supposed to be, but no.
I've been looking at maps of Oldham Reserve for 15 years.
I agree with you 100%.
Well, I can clarify that. If you drove up there before we ever started this, there was a kind of a worn-out track. If you look at aerial photographs, you'll see that. They assumed that that was the path of the roadway,
Right.
and it wasn't.
So,
Measure Tice.
so in other words, when they stockpiled this, they didn't accidentally stockpile it where on the map we thought Eden Parkway was going to be extended.
I'm not sure I understand your question.
I'm not sure I said it clear.
We did not put it on the roadway that was there, the old track he's talking about. We did not put it there, but in reality, and Jim, you can correct me, but in reality, when I say ODA, when they decided where to put the road, they took in consideration not only they had to have the road and the width and all of that, but since then, you've had the conversation of where they're going to close New Moody and put a jug handle at the end. Well, they're going to not do that now. They're going to run that on out to, I can't think of the number of the road.
Peak.
It's going to run on out to across that subdivision,
Well, it's.
Meadowbrook, yeah.
That's just a concept, but.
Yeah, it was a conceptual thing, but they decided that, well, we need to put it over here because there's a lot of things, the topography, the lot size, blah, blah, blah. They said, we really need to move the road over to here.
Now, Meadowbrook is Peak Road. Meadowbrook is not Eden Parkway.
Well, rather than confusing it with
it's
that
not
part,
Meadowbrook,
let me give you my answer, and you are right on target. Once we started designing Eden Parkway,
Yes.
we worked with our development partners, and part of the idea was where do you put the road so that on either side you have buildable lots, and where's the optimum for that? Had we already designed or at least placed the center line of the road for Eden Parkway, the dirt wouldn't have got there. But once we started actually, and this was a year and a half later, we started designing Eden Parkway, and working with our development partners, they said, here's what the alignment should be. We also had at the end of Eden Parkway, where it meets LaGrange Parkway, an archaeological site. And we had to avoid that and kind of thread the needle.
Yeah.
So when you put everything, it was kind of the perfect storm to be those dirt piles in the wrong place.
There was no way to know where the pile should have been put, but we had a fairly conceptual idea where we knew it shouldn't be, but we kind of missed the mark.
And let me say, we're putting it in a place where it is going to be usable. On Lot 20A and Lot 11 in Oldham Reserve, which is right in the general proximity of the roundabout, We're putting this dirt, which needs to be filled in order to develop the site. So this time we're putting it in the right place.
Now, as we put that dirt on these developable sites, will that be at our cost, or will that be the person who buys the property?
Well, we're doing that again with this contract. We have to move the dirt, and we're only moving the dirt that's in the right-of-way to those lots,
So we're giving that dirt to those lots.
which should increase their value because the person that buys it doesn't have to go get dirt or remove the trees and
But
stumps.
we won't get our money back for that because of the,
No, we will, and when you get into the base price of the lots.
we will get it back.
Yeah, it'll be in the waterfall.
Okay.
In the long run.
And I understand. No, I know. We may not be talking about any of our lifetimes. I get that. I understand.
Just about the time you get your Medicare card.
I've got mine.
We hope it's not going to be that long. Actually,
time.
every day we wait, we're getting a little closer,
Yeah,
to be quite
right, you're
honest.
Okay, so the piece that we have in the motion right now is just for the 395, 192.50, correct?
Correct.
That's the motion on the
With movable
table.
paving.
Okay. We have,
Had a motion and a second on
okay,
that.
so now we're,
And I assume because of the time frame and everything, this is not a biddable statement. In other words, we don't have time to talk about bidding, moving this, or doing anything, do we?
Louisville Paving's already on site. I'm assuming they're on site, aren't they?
Right.
They should have been.
Well, and remember, again, as I explained earlier, in the bidding process, we knew we were going to have to move it. And so we said, don't bid the price, but it will be a contract amendment when we get to knowing where it's going.
Can I add also?
Sure.
I think this is relevant to your question about bidding it. The contract that we have in place, there was about 40,000, I'm rounding this, there was about 40,000 cubic yards of excavation, excluding the stockpile. If we were to ignore the stockpile, there's about 40,000 yards that was bid. They bid that at
$6.
$6 and a quarter per yard. So we have a competitive price. Not only do we have historical numbers from other road jobs, but this one in particular, we've got that dollar amount. The unit price that's used in this cost change order amendment is $5 and a quarter. So it's actually $1 less than our contract unit price. So I think it's very competitive.
That's what I'm glad to hear. Thank you.
And therefore,
Yes.
I wouldn't recommend bidding it.
Super. Thank you.
okay.
All right, we've got a motion on the floor and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Aye.
Carried, 7, 8, what? How many we got here?
7 to 1.
We got 9 people, we got 8 people sitting here, we got 7 to 1, okay. All right, next item,
Well, the next piece, sorry, Judge, to interrupt, is the additional amount for the bat habitat mitigation and Red Wing services for permitting. And that's total of $18,912.40, and again, to be split in half with the city.
did you,
I'll make that motion, but who are we ultimately writing the check to?
It will be, I think it's KNLT for the bat habitat. And what does KNLT stand for? All I can do is remember that that was the check that we used to mitigation on Eden Parkway. But it essentially goes to U.S. Fish and Wildlife. And then the other is for.
Kentucky Natural Resources, something maybe, huh?
All right, I'll make a motion. We pay the $18,912.40 to KNLT.
No, they has to be split. Red Wing's gonna, let's just make a motion to pay the cost for the
Yeah.
ecological services that we're required to do up to $18,912. Not worried about who gets what.
Okay.
Red Wing's gonna get some,
Yep.
somebody else is gonna get the balance. Let's just
And the
put
la-
it, make your motion to pay up to $18,912.40.
But Judge, the city pays half, so.
Yes.
Yeah, right,
Yeah.
based on the
Right.
contract that we have.
But this is the same thing. Isn't this what didn't the city just,
They're paying
Approve this
half this
too?
too.
They approved it last
yeah,
night.
we approved the
yes.
same amount.
Yes.
The split's done later on.
Yeah,
Yes.
Okay, my motion gonna read, we're gonna do $18,912.40 for ecological services on Eden Park.
right, to be split by, according to contract with the city of Louisville.
I'll
I'll
second
agree.
that.
Okay, good.
A second on that?
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
How much is that
Oh,
per
discussion, all right, wait a minute, discussion.
bat? How much is that per bat?
What do you want to know?
Magistrate Hounds,
I mean, I understand we don't have to do a bid out for the bat mitigation because that's going to Fish and Wildlife. But are we just using Red Wing because we've used Red Wing on the other bat issues? I mean, how does,
Red Wing actually has a contract to perform duties with OLDA. OLDA doesn't have a line item budget, if I'm saying this correctly, and you can correct me. This is additional services. So they have, for 10 or 12 years now, they have been keeping our 401 and 404 permits in order. And any time that we have any other environmental issues, Red Wing has a contract. This is not part of that contract, so this is why there's additional fees.
Right.
but how are they afforded to have this contract then, I guess? Is there a clause in the original contract that gives them?
I don't know,
Looked
we
at
gotta,
their original
we gotta stick with the people that know
Right.
what they're doing out
Yeah.
there. I mean, it's just, Magistrate Hawkins?
Thank you, Judge. Last night for the LaGrange City Council, it was that $1,300 in addition to coordination, mapping. It was other related tasks for Red Wing Ecological Services to complete. Should that be on here too, in case there are?
It
Because
is.
that way that 1,300 covers all the other extra, and it won't be something later on down the road.
It is. If you look on the sheet, it's not in the actual graph. It's separate right above the grand total.
Right above the grand total here where it says 18,912.40.
Yes, there's a line right above it.
It
If
says
you-
other
it says-
coordination and mapping,
And that's included in the 18,000.
but it doesn't say other related tasks.
The other related are implied in
Yeah,
Other related tasks are part of the coordination and mapping?
same, it's the same.
Okay, I just don't want us to get hit with a bill later for anything other than coordination and mapping. Okay.
Jim,
They
before
give
you
us a
sit
quote for
down,
1,300 for the additional coordination and mapping, yes.
Okay.
Jim Urban, just to hear, to get to clarify on this, ODA has a contract with Red Wing, is an open-ended contract for certain things. Are you saying this is not going to be applied to our ODA's contract, or this is over and above that?
I happily have no idea how all of that negotiating works out in their contracts. All I know, I was asked to consider additional Red Wing fees specifically for Lot 20A, 11, and East Peak Road. We are going to pay that bill. We, Fiscal Court and the city, not OLDA. OLDA doesn't have any other bidding, just like Eden Parkway is done through Fiscal Court
Right.
and the city. So
But we have a contract with Red Wing, ODA does, to, like you say, to keep our permits straight and such things as that. So, but you're saying this won't be part of that?
yeah,
That's going to be
this-
over and above?
This is additional services.
Okay,
yes.
all right, that's all I need to know.
Yep.
Any further discussion here? We're kind of down to picking, trying to separate bat, dew, and pepper here, I think, at $2.5 million project, or $4 million, whatever this is. Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
And now we're down to the lease renewal for the Buckner soccer fields. And Stan?
I hope there's little or no discussion on this. The Buckner soccer fields, as they refer to, are the lands provided, owned by Department of Corrections. They've leased it to the county. It's restricted for recreational use only. We had a 25-year lease that expired in 2018. It was discovered hadn't been renewed. This is a straightforward 25-year renewal at $1 per year for another 25 years per contract.
Make the motion.
Second.
Second.
All right, any discussion on that? Magistrate Logston?
To tie something up for that long, I'm for it, but that's a long time. We don't know what's gonna happen 20 years from now. So, that's just my opinion. I'm not voting for it for that. And if you did 10 years, I understand, but
Why
20
would you
years,
want?
that's a long time.
The risk to fiscal court is $1 a year. So
Yeah, that's what I was
saying
gonna say, we're only
$10
paying
is
$1 a year.
a $1 a year lease, and we get the use of that land for recreational purposes for the benefit of Oldham County. So why would you want to limit it to 10 years when you can get it for $1 more a year
I
for
don't know
25
what's
years?
gonna happen 10 years from now.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I think he's saying he doesn't know what the future holds, but on the other hand, that's not our property.
Well, that's true. Could
You know,
cost us-
it doesn't mean that we're gonna get to use it if we take it away from them. Somebody can take it away from us.
Corrections can't use it for anything until our 25 years runs out.
Yeah, if we could get a 100-year contract for $1 a year, we ought to take that.
Yeah.
And this is renewable for another 25 and 2042 or 3 or
Right,
whatever
I mean,
it is.
the last 1995 wasn't that long ago. You know.
Is that an automatic renewal unless somebody
The,
wants out?
The soccer people, they are, let's say, have some kind of deal going with the Louisville
City.
FC club or whatever.
Louisville City.
And they're trying to be a feeder operation, and they have they've been out here and have some hope that they can get some kind of stadium, smaller stadium, not big stadium, but some kind of structure built for people to sit in and watch soccer and so forth. But they can't get it without an ability to have it for an extended period.
I'm not against it at all.
I know. I understand what you're saying. You're
I'm
saying
against the term.
something else might come up, but something else. We've got 700 or 800 families out there playing soccer. It's a great.
So am I hearing you say we're going to be building a stadium next?
No, not us. Not us.
I can see that running through your head right now.
Well,
All right. I'm going to remember you said that.
okay. That's
Let's
all right.
vote.
Magistrate Tice?
No, I just want to vote.
Your district. Anyone else on this? All right, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries 7-1. Thank you. All right, next item, Chief is back. Do we want to just go ahead and, did you come back, figure out what the car options were?
Okay, first off, appreciate your patience in trying to work this out. So I called John Jones, talked to Bob Colpus, and I called Hunt Otto, and I talked to a guy named Jimmy Falls. First question was, how long would it take us to get these cars in if we have to buy 2021s? Just sometime in March. They said about 4 months, maybe a little sooner, maybe a little later, but plan sometime around March. So that's the deadline if we buy.
Both tell you that date?
Yes, sir, yeah. Specifically, John Jones said March, Hunt said 4 months, so that's right at the same period. So good information, I think both of them are saying the same thing. Hunt does not have any 2020s available. They do not store police units. They only will get the bid in, order them out. They don't have any, they're not, they don't have anything on the lot that is a police unit. John Jones deals in police units, so they've got some on the lot. So they can't give me a price. Hunt cannot give me a price of what a 2020 would be because they don't have any, none available. I talked to John Jones, asked him what the 2021 price would be. He said it would be close to the $30,300, and then he said, I'll go ahead and agree to $30,300 for the last two. So we're buying, if we bought from him, we would buy 5 2020s at $30,300 and 2 2021s at $30,300, which would be a little bit over $5,000 less than Hunt.
Do we have a motion on the floor yet?
Not yet.
Motion to table.
Table.
Motion on
To
table.
take it off the table?
Want to take it off the floor here, or off the table?
I'll make a motion, we take it.
All right, what did we do?
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Judge, I'll make the motion that we buy the cars from John Jones, the 5 2020s and 2 2021s.
Right. The 5 we will get immediately, the 2 we'll have to wait, it'll be March. But the 5 will help us out tremendously.
Okay.
John Jones also stripes the car, don't they?
They have actually, they do. They can do the entire package, but we probably will, as long as they can do it for the state price like L&W can, we can use them. But if they cannot, then we'd have to bid that out. And they're aware of that, because we went through that once before with them.
Yeah, I like to push them on it because it saves us from picking them up and driving them around and running back and forth.
Well, it's a turnkey operation. I mean, we order them, we tell them what we want installed, and we go up there and pick it up, and it's done. I mean, the radials, everything's done.
Right.
But I will get the price for the install. I'll let you know what that is.
Manager Hawkins?
Does the color that we're getting, since they're already ready, match the color of the rest of the fleet currently?
Yes, they're perfect. The cars are specific to the bid,
Thank you.
except for the year, color and everything. Actually, he's lucky he found them.
That's kind of what it sounds
Even
like.
the guy from Hunt says, if I was you, I'd buy those 5 while you could get them.
Oh, really?
You know, so that's how bad, that's how far they're running back.
Yeah.
You got them on hold.
Well, we hope so. I'm gonna make a phone call here in a minute to
Let's
make
vote.
sure. Yeah, but I think we do. I think he'll hold him until I call him back. I told him I'd call him back, yea or nay. He said, that's fine.
All right, we have the motion and a second. Any further discussion? Sounds like a slam dunk. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you for getting that together. Deal for us and the public. Next item here is a agreement with Architectural Investments for the animal control building. Brent Likens.
Thank you, Judge. We originally had 8 architectural firms that gave us a proposal. We have come down to 1, that being Architectural Investments. We would like to enter into an agreement with them to do the architectural drawings for the new animal control building. Their fee is 6.5% of the construction cost for the building. They're going to do this in phases. They do up to a 50% phase, at which time we will be able to get a handle on what this new building is going to cost. We have heard anywhere between $1 million and $6 million on this building. So we will have numbers to look at when they get half done with their design of this project. At that point, we have to determine whether we go with a construction manager or a general contractor on the building part of it. But right now, the Building and Maintenance Committee recommends that we enter into an agreement for 6.5% of the construction cost with Architectural Investments, Inc.
All right, is there a second on that?
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. No discussion with anybody? Measure Tice?
I have a thought on it, and I'm not on the committee, so I think I'll just say it right now. I think we need to structure the size and the facility that we're going to build using what is good rationality on how much we can afford as a county to pay for it. You know, if it comes in $3 million, then maybe we need to do something a little bit less. So I just hope the committee takes that in mind.
That is exactly what we're doing.
There's a reasonable amount of money we should spend for a dog shelter. It's not where we're keeping people, so.
That is exactly what we're doing with this 50% design approach. We will get to the point, instead of having the full set of plans finished, we'll be able to get a handle on what we think it's going to cost at that point, and at that point, we can scale down or scale up, depending on our budget.
All right, right. Well, we can, we'll have to see what's out there. We've taken some tours, looked at other counties. I would, you know, I don't have a specific concept in mind on this. We'll see what is recommended, what our neighboring counties think is appropriate, or what's appropriate throughout Kentucky. We'll just have to see. I mean, honestly, the term dog shelter, you know, is a, you know, I'm thinking of something a little better than a dog shelter. I mean, you know, but it doesn't have to be a Taj Mahal. It's not a place for people. But on the other hand, if we're just going to put up a tin Butler building and call it, that's our animal control, you know, I mean, we can put up nothing and live with it, but I don't know. You know, we just have to see, you know.
Somewhere in between what you said is, I think, where we need to be.
Yeah, right. I mean, all I keep reading is the cost of lumber is skyrocketing. The cost of everything's going up, you know.
Okay.
All right, any further discussion on Magistrate Hawkins?
Magistrate Likens, this question is for you. It looks like there are some expenses like for renderings and things like that that will be in addition to this. We don't know the cap on that cost, but it's whatever it costs them plus 10%. Is that standard? Is there usually a budget for all of the extra stuff that isn't included in the hourly rates?
I think that is all included in the 6.5% fee.
Okay.
Wouldn't be an extra.
I'm not sure about that, you know. I would say that
There's 12 line items of compensatable and reimbursable items
What
plus
page
the
are you on?
10%.
What page are you on?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm on 26 of 28.
I believe most of the time in these agreements, what you're paying for, the 6.5%, is their skill set in designing, not any expenses that they incur. In other words, I'll just take a totally, stupid example, but you tell them, well, why don't you go to California and look at something out there? They didn't build that expense in here. They're going to bill that back to you.
Yep.
Plus 10%.
Plus 10%, yeah, okay,
Right.
that's how I read it. I was just checking. But I guess we don't have a cap on what those reimbursable expenses are, and,
Well, you sort of know them in the sense that they start submitting bills and you think they're inappropriate, you can challenge them. And probably everybody is going to, when we did the courthouse, the graphics that we have out on the hall, we had to pay extra for those. That was not part of
Yeah.
what the architect,
Yeah.
came up with. But we
That's what
wanted to
this says.
see what it was.
right,
I mean, he might be able to go to a certain extent, but if you ask for a more detailed something, I mean, they're going to draw some pictures, and those are going to come as part of their service. But they're not going to make, large-scale graphic displays to put around town or something.
okay.
They should die.
Magistrate Likens, you said this, explain a little more about this 50%. You say you're gonna be able to get to a point where you can decide to go scale up, scale down?
Yes.
So are we preempting what we used to call, value engineering?
Yes.
Yes.
So the value engineering will come at that point instead of having to redraw the plans,
Exactly.
Front end instead of the back end.
okay? That's what I need to know, thanks.
Right, I assume this building's going to have a cement floor, it's going to have drainage, it's going to have a roof, but it doesn't need a marble countertop.
That's exactly right.
So there's some things you can't get by without, and other things that you can draw a line on, I guess. Sort of like your house. Take a break? Yes, is there, we need a break here, but we need to vote for
We're
this
almost
first of all.
finished, I
Okay.
think.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. All right, let's take a, it's 4:18, we'll come back by 4:30.
Yeah.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye.